friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop with another episode of Shop Talk. First thing I want to say is thank you for quarantine streaming my videos. The video counts have been up for the last couple of months. It's actually dropping a little bit right now, but we're still way above where we used to be, for sure. So I do appreciate all the streaming and that, to coin that phrase, quarantine streaming. Actually, I didn't coin the phrase. I heard it on television by someone else. But first thing I want to do before we get into all the viewers' questions and answers, which we have a bunch, is to thank a few people for gifts. Old Colin has been really hard at it. He's sent me a lot of things lately, namely a little amp, and it's kind of cute. It's a little bitty sucker. It runs on battery or with a adapter, wall adapter that you can plug in. And I have not yet actually tried this, to believe it or not. I don't usually have electric instruments in the shop, so that's the first problem. But when I do, it's nice to have an amp. So thank you, Colin. I really do appreciate it very much. That's not enough though. Colin sent something else. He says he's going to send me into the high-tech world kicking and screaming, which he doesn't realize, I think, that I am in the high-tech world. I mean, how many people do you know that have 4 routers running their internet service? And I did that myself. And how many people do you know who have a tower to talk to the cell tower? I put up a tower to talk to my cell tower. So yeah, I'm in the high-tech world, trust me. I also design computer systems for AT&T, so I know a lot about high-tech. My cell phone, I would be totally lost in this world without it. And I mean smart cell phone, by the way. But this is the high-tech gadget he sent me, and this is really cool. I've been wanting one of these for a long time, actually, and I just never sprung for it. This is a Peterson strobo tuner. So this one's called Strobo Clip HD. High definition clip-on strobe tuner. Haven't even put the batteries in it yet, but you can bet you'll be seeing this in a few future videos, and more than likely this will be the one that goes in my personal case for my own personal mandolin, more than likely. But I really appreciate it, Colin. Man, you're gonna have to stop. This is getting kind of embarrassing, actually. But thank you. And that's not all. Michael Alexander sent me a gift out of the blue. Didn't know this was coming at all. Very pleasant surprise. And here it is. Another high-tech gadget. And I actually already have one of these, Michael. This is a Wi-Fi endoscope. But this one offers a number of advantages, even over the last one. And the last one was also a Wi-Fi endoscope. Before that, I had a wired endoscope. And before that, I had one of those self-contained little unit deals that really wasn't worth a darn, that you look through like this and really a piece of junk. So this is technically my 4th endoscope. This one is really cool for a couple of reasons. Number one, you can just tell it's really well made. This one's a high dollar one. I'm pretty sure he spent some big bucks on this. So Michael Alexander, by the way, he's out in California. He's in that Sea Ranch, California area, and he's the one that had sent me some abalone shell quite a while back, or abalone, whichever way you prefer to say it. The advantage of this one is that the scope here, the actual lens, is the same size as the cable, and the cable's not real big. I mean, it's a good size, but it's definitely, I don't know, let's see, how big would I say that is? It's not even quite 3/16 of an inch. Millimeter wise, I'd say we're talking 4 millimeters, something like that. So it's pretty small, and it's also stiff that you can, and it's flexible that you can bend it and, put it up in a guitar like so, and point it where you want to point it. So that's kind of cool. It's got plenty of cable length, so you can go into, deep dark recesses. And it is totally Wi-Fi. In other words, it's just like a router itself. It sends out a Wi-Fi signal. You connect to it just like you connect to a normal router, and then you can see the images on your screen. So I can, put the images on this. The reason I don't do it more often, quite honestly, is because I'm on the clock with these instruments working on repairs. I know that it's cool to show all that stuff in videos, but I typically only show it when there really is something to see. Just looking inside the guitar and seeing nothing doesn't do much for the video either. If I look in there and there's loose braces or something really bad, well then you're likely to see the endoscope in use more on the videos. But anyway, regardless, Michael, thank you very much. Robert Barnum had sent me one of these that was also Wi-Fi, and you know how that is, Robert. The old one goes to the apprentice. So now my apprentice Caleb is now using the other Wi-Fi endoscope. So I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you very kindly. Well, friends, one of the things that we were going to do in this shop talk was pick the winner of the Guitjo. So for all you Guitjo lovers out there, get ready, because this is the big moment. I'm going to turn this around where you can see my tablet. I have it set to pick a comment out of this video, which is the Guitjo video. We've got one winner we're going to pick, and it'll tell us who the chosen winner is right here. So here we go. It's scrolling through all the comments right here. Try to get it up closer so you can see it. Oh, it's already picked it. It says the winner is Richard Hudson. And let's see if he has the word, yes, he has the word Guitjo in there. He says, that's a nice Guitjo, and it would be good way to learn how to play both the guitar and the banjo, and yes, I will pay the shipping. So congratulations, Richard Hudson. Send us an email to rosastringworks@gmail.com and we'll get this thing on the way to you. We'll, of course, have to bill you for the shipping as we talked about, but we'll get you a PayPal bill for that you can pay with a credit card or whatever, and then we'll get this thing right out to you. So congratulations, Richard. Thanks for watching the videos. Now we will get into the meat of the shop talk. The first question is from Scott Wagner from Whitefish, Montana. Scott starts off by saying, I want to thank you for sharing your insights and your experience on YouTube. Since I'm a visual learner, I find them extremely helpful. I hope to build some guitars in the future. He says, I also want to say I appreciate your personality, honesty, and for showing what works for you and what does not. Please don't change a thing. Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. Scott's question is, in building your Martin-style guitars, do you have a particular set of plans that you recommend in the Dreadnought size? Well, the truth is, Scott, I don't know a lot about what's available in terms of plans out there. I bought the plans from StewMac years ago, and that's what I use as my reference. And I say reference in that I actually traced around, some Martin guitars on the different things, like the body shape and that kind of thing. So, that's really what I use is my patterns that I have, but I refer to those plans from StewMac quite often. Unfortunately, that's really my only basis of comparison, so I can't be too much help that way. There may be something out there that other people think is better. If so, put that in your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you very kindly, Scott, for your nice comments, and thanks for watching my videos. The next comment or question is from Steve Downs in Klang, Malaysia. He's asking a question which I'll be right up front with you and tell you I don't know the answer. And that is, he wants to know how to find someone to work on his instruments in the local areas. Not necessarily, I don't think he means Malaysia necessarily. He's talking in the broad spectrum. He's asking for everyone, if you will. How do you go about finding someone close to where you live to work on your instruments? That's kind of his general question. And the truth is, honestly, I don't know. And you might say, well, why don't you know? You're in that business. Well, the truth is, I've never looked for anyone to work on my instruments. If you stop and think about it, that will make sense to you also. I just do all my own work and always have, and I am just a one-man show, if you will, and I don't mean that in this YouTube sense. I just mean that in the sense that I am here by myself for all these years until just recently, of course. I don't get out much. It's the best way I can answer it. So the truth is, I'm not the guy to ask that question to, unfortunately. I wish I could help you. If I did know, I'd tell you. There are lots of people looking for this kind of work. I know that. I see it in my comments all the time that people make a comment that, hey, I'm available to work on instruments if you need, work done. The truth is, though, I don't make recommendations on anybody like that because I don't know them personally. And I don't know the quality of their work and all of that. Now, I'm not above, as you've seen in some of my videos, I'm not above sharing other people's, YouTube channels and, what they're doing in their shops and stuff like that. I think that's great. I have no problem with that. I wish I could help you, Steve Downs, but unfortunately, I just don't have a good answer. If I did, I'd tell you. I guess I would add on Steve's question that, one thing that obviously I think makes sense is when you go to your local music stores, sometimes they will know a local repairman who is good. And that would probably be my only source of help in that regard. The next comment is from, I'm going to say this and probably get it wrong, Bernard Callis. It's BernDKallis, and he's from Germany. So Bernie, I thank you for your note here, and he's very complimentary about my channel and the way I solve problems and things like that. And he's making suggestions on grain fillers, and he is suggesting 2P10 and Glue Boost. Bernie, I appreciate the suggestion. I'm not picking on you at all, but I've been there and done that with those things, and I'm not impressed with them, mainly because they're just super glue. That's really all they are. I can't hardly stand to be in the same room with those things. I seriously can't. A little bit of CA glue is fine, but you get very much of it going, and man, it just goes right to your eyes and your nose, and it's bad. I mean, it really is bad. If you get very much of it out there at all, and by very much, I mean like a spot that big. A little spot is one thing, or a little line is one thing. And that's bad if you get close to it. But if you've spread out very much of it, it just wafts through the room really quickly. I am not into those things. I mean, I know they work. I'm sure it would be just perfectly fine, and I'm sure it would be really fast, but it just will not work for me. Bernie, I appreciate your very nice compliments. I appreciate you watching my videos, and thank you for the suggestions anyway. Maybe one of these days I'll find something that I'm satisfied with on grain fillers. So far, I have not. I have tried almost everything out there, guys. I mean, there's very few things you could suggest at this point that I have not tried. And I seriously have not found one that I'm happy with. They all have some kind of issue. Either you got to keep putting them on and putting them on and putting them on and putting them on because they keep shrinking. Either that's one issue. Another one is they completely change the color of the wood to some weird color or something like that, which I don't like. Or they've got some caustic, issue like the 2P10 type thing. And don't get me wrong, 2P10 is a good CA glue, but that's what it's for. It's not for finishing instruments, in my opinion. Even though there's YouTube videos out there that say it is. Okay, moving right along, let's go to the next one. The next question is from Mike Rosalek, Rosulek. Mike is in Oregon. Mike starts off by saying, I enjoy your prolific catalog of videos, and he's been enjoying them for a long time now, he says. I admire your work ethic and enjoy your straight talk. Keep up the good work and don't let the trolls get you down. I try not to let that happen. That means the trolls getting me down. He says he has a suction cup support for his guitar. I'm not going to put this in the video, but I just looked there. Sounds similar to what he's talking about. Apparently it must stick to the guitar and you put it on your leg or whatever, and it helps hold the guitar up. Classical instruments apparently is mainly how it's used, and he in fact is talking about a classical guitar. But the problem is his suction cups aren't sticking anymore. He's saying he's wondering if the finish is just grimy or if the finish is being worn away or what the issue is. Well, the truth is, I don't know that I'm the guy on this one either. I've never seen that particular type of support before. I've never used one. My guess would be it could be two or three things. The guess would be that maybe the suction cups themselves are actually possibly dirty or just become weaker or something like that. That's one possibility, I would think. But then again, if you're talking about the finish, and this is really where his question is going, is he wants to, make sure his finish is good and, as good as it can be. About the only thing I could suggest there is polishing it out. And I would, to me, I think the semi-chrome polish is great. It takes a lot of elbow grease to do it. You might want to use the Angel polish that I recommended for to clean it first and just try that. If you use that Angel polish and just clean it really good, or some other good brand of polish and clean it really good, and then try your suction cups, I imagine that would improve it a lot. But if that doesn't fix it, well, then about the only option you've got is, if the finish is really worn or something, about the only option you got is to put more finish on it in those areas. I hesitate recommending anything there because you could just make a total disaster out of it. Finishing work is really difficult. I know you hear me talk about how bad it is and how I complain on the videos about the finishing, but trust me, even as easy as it may look on the video, it's 10 times harder. Finishing is difficult. So I don't recommend you go there unless you've got experience with doing some finishing. About the only thing I would recommend is cleaning both things. Cleaning the suction cups really good. You might clean them with alcohol or something like that. Cleaning the instrument really well with some good form of polish. I would recommend the semi-chrome polish to buff it out real good, and then maybe putting the Renaissance wax over the top of that, or just using the Angel polish start to finish and trying that maybe even first. Mike, I'm sorry, I can't give you a better answer than that. Hopefully that helps. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for the nice comments. I appreciate it. Well, my next question has actually come up quite a bit recently, and I don't know why exactly all of a sudden this question is coming up, because I've kind of done the same thing since day one. But Peter Bryan is asking the question, and like I said, several other folks have asked this recently, and that is about when you restring an instrument, about stretching the strings, and why I don't stretch the strings. Well, I walk on both sides of that fence. I'm not opposed to stretching the strings. I typically don't do it, not for any other reason than perhaps economical. And I'm not a tightwad. It's just that if I'm in a hurry, like if I'm on stage or in a recording session or something like that where time matters, I definitely stretch the strings. If I'm not, and I'm just playing casually or whatever, then I typically don't. Now, what is the difference? I'm not 100% sure there is any difference. But it seems to me, and I'm just going based on experience, just seat of the pants experience, in fact, because I have no hard facts. It seems to me when I stretch them, they break more often. If I let them stretch naturally, they seem to break less often. That's it. That's just it. I have nothing more to go on than that. It's just a feel of sorts and just kind of what seems to generally happen. I think if I was trying to put it into scientific terms, by actually putting that stress on the string, you're stretching it out to the weakest point of that string, if you will, very quickly. Where if you just kind of let it stretch naturally, they seem to last longer to me. I don't know. That's it. That's the only reason. There's no real reason why I don't stretch them other than that. And like I said, if I'm in a hurry, then I stretch them. I just am never in a hurry on my videos. I hope that answers the question for you, Peter. There's nothing wrong with stretching them, I don't think, if that's the way you prefer to do it. And many people probably do prefer to do it that way. As a matter of fact, I would say most people prefer to do it that way. But we are in a hurry up and get her done society, so I can understand that, and I got no problem with that. So if you're in a hurry, stretch them. Peter was very complimentary also, and I appreciate the very nice compliments, Peter. So thank you for watching my videos, old friend, and hope you'll continue to do so. This next one is from Philip Sanders, and he's in Romford, Essex, UK. And so Phil, I appreciate you watching my videos. And he says he's considering an upgrade to his Epiphone DR500 electroacoustic guitar, and he would appreciate some advice. I'm considering replacing the nut and saddle with cattle bone instead of what's on it in present. He says, I'm thinking about changing the pins to buffalo horn also. Do you think any of this will improve the sound? Well, I'm going to give you my straight up opinion. If you're going to spend money on improving the sound on an instrument and you want to do it as cheap as possible, work on your saddle. And that's going to give you 85 to 90% of your bang for your buck right there. The saddle itself will change most of your sound. The nut, very little difference. I mean, people swear up and down the nut changes everything. I don't see it. I seriously do not see it. I don't think in a blind test anybody would be able to tell the difference between a plastic nut and a bone nut. Maybe if you're only hitting open strings all the time, maybe. But even then I say maybe. Think about it in just general logical common sense terms. All of the sound happens down here at the bridge end. There's no sound happening up there at the peg head. Yes, the fact that it's a crisper material might give it a little bit more vibration, perhaps in the whole body and everything, and perhaps a dog could hear the difference. But I seriously think if you really want to get your biggest bang for your buck, do it down at your bridge area. That's where the biggest bang for your buck is. Now your saddle is 80% of that at least. You know, if you get into real detail, well then I would say maybe the saddle's less than 80% because there's other factors. And if you get into real detail, still the saddle would be at least half of it, I think. But your bridge pad would be a big part of it because again, that's where the sound is being transferred from. Your bridge itself is a big part of it. And your pins, in my opinion, are a much lesser part of it. I don't think the pins, in my opinion, make all that much difference. Now, a lot of people would swear that the pins change a lot of things. I'd say if you have a really good ear, you might hear a considerable difference with changing your pins. But I stand by what I say. The nut doesn't make that much difference. The saddle makes a ton of difference. Change your saddle and you'll hear a huge difference. For me personally, if I'm going to change the nut, I always change it to bone. Now, why do I do that? Because it's a very durable material. It lasts a long time. It works good. It's got its own natural lubricants built into it that let the string slide good. There's a lot of reasons to use the bone, but I don't do it necessarily for the sound. I only change the nut when I need to change the nut, and meaning that it's cut too low already or something like that, or it's broke or something like that. If there's a problem with the nut, I always change it to a bone. In my case, it's always antler because that's what I have, but regular bone would be just fine too. The bridge pin deal, you know, mostly for me, that's just looks and aesthetics. You know, and I say that, I think if you go to something like a metal bridge pin, then I do think you start to hear it then because that's pretty harsh. But your typical materials, I don't think there's enough density difference in the pins to make that much difference unless you go to something really hard like brass or something like that. Then I think you probably will notice some difference in that case. So that's my 2 cents, but really the main thing to get out of that is your saddle makes a huge difference. Everything else, not so much. So I hope that answers your question, Philip, and I hope your changes make a big difference for you, and I hope they work out for you. So thanks for watching from the UK. The next one is from Adam Price. Adam is very complimentary about my mandolin course, my mandolin training that I have, which is in download form. He is very seriously wanting me to get the lead part of that done because he feels like I cut through all of the fluff, if you will, and teach it in a quick, simple way, but yet you get everything in a very simple, compact way. Now, having said that, I mean, the training is rather long. It's probably 10 or 12 hours worth of video. That includes practice songs and all kinds of things. But it is pretty concise when you think about it and how much you learn in such a small package. But it doesn't teach you how to play lead, and he's wanting me to put that same concept into the lead playing, which I think I sort of can do, but that's much harder. Lead playing is much harder. I found that out when I started doing it. I have actually started the lead playing training course, but I kind of got blocked, not so much because of couldn't get it done, but because I got so overwhelmed with all the work here in the shop. Maybe now that I've got Melissa and my new apprentice, maybe I can get back to it and get back on it. But the problem is now I have a load of custom instruments to build. Wow, do I ever have a load. So Adam Price, I would like to help you, but the truth of it is I'm not going to get your hopes up because I don't see it happening anytime real soon. I wish it could, but thank you for the nice compliments on the training. I really want to get it done, but geez, I feel like I need to be 10 people. I really do. Speaking of custom instruments to build, you saw earlier previews of the Canadian mandolin. Well, this is it in its still in a little bit of an ugly duckling stage. It's just roughed in finish and stuff. I haven't put the binding on it yet because I am going to be putting on some real wood binding, which I have made. And I don't know if you can see it up close there, but the real wood, if it'll focus, is sycamore. And it's got a lot of checkering in it. It's going to be really pretty once it gets on there. I learned my lesson on that guitar with the red bleeding over into the real wood, and so I'm trying to get all the staining and everything done on this ahead of time, glue this on, and even then I know I'm going to have to work this all down to make it match, and I know I'm going to lose a lot of the edging around here, and it's going to be a mess. But you got to try something, so that's what I'm trying, and we'll see how it goes. And you'll see all this in videos coming up. I've decided to not put this video out until I get almost finished with it. That way you guys don't have to wait 6 weeks to see the finish. Speaking of custom instruments, I won't give out any names yet because I don't know that this is totally finalized, but it looks like we have a real neat build coming up quite a ways down the road, so don't get your hopes up for anything soon because there's so many in front of it. But it looks like we may be building a jazz, kind of a acoustic electric type jazz guitar with F-holes and the arch top, the whole bit. So we may be building one of those down the road here. It looks like that's going to happen. So I thought you'd be interested to hear that and to see how we make that. And that'll all be hand carved. It'll be an incredible instrument to build. Steve Crocker has an issue with a guitar that apparently he had in a repair shop for a long time, and apparently the guy's health went downhill and didn't get the instrument totally repaired. Apparently the top seam has separated on the guitar. They're book matched obviously, and there's a seam down the center, and that's opened up on him. And he says, as it dries out, it opens up more, more humidity, it closes up, that type of thing. He's asking the best way to fix it, and he's talking about using hide glue. Hide glue would work, I'm sure. It wouldn't be my choice, and the only reason is because, in my opinion, it's too brittle, especially if you've got a crack that's moving a lot like that. I would try to clean the crack out as good as you possibly can, and when I say clean it, I mean take like the finest tipped X-Acto knife blade you can find and get in there and microscopically with magnifiers, get in there and try to just scrape just in the crack. Do not cut wood. Just clean the dirt and grime and junk out of the crack, basically. Scrape off any old glue that you can see using high-powered magnifiers. Get in there and look at it really close. Clean out the crack as best you can without changing the shape of the wood. And I stress that a lot because I had one guy, I won't use any names so nobody knows who I'm talking about, but he brought me a D35 Martin guitar, and I said, God, what happened to this crack here? He goes, well, it was opened up there, that crack, and so I took my pocket knife and cleaned it out for you so you could get glue in there. I thought, thanks for helping me. No, don't do that. Keep the crack small, don't open it up. You could throw a dog through that crack when he got done with it. Not really, but it was pretty bad. So Steve, I wouldn't use the hide glue, but if that's your choice, feel free to do that. I would use Type Bond or something like that because I know it's very strong glue and it will hold the crack. If you can get it closed back up, I feel fairly confident in telling you that the Type Bond will hold it for you, assuming that it matches up good. Now, if it doesn't match up good, all bets are off on any kind of glue. The other thing you might want to do You know, I always said you use cleats when there's stress. Obviously, there must be stress on this particular joint. So you might want to get it closed up, glued with tight bond, and then put some cleats on it, maybe 2 or 3 cleats behind the bridge. You know, I would recommend cleats in a situation like that. Now, they're kind of hard to put on. You may have to use magnets or something like that to put them on back there that far back, because clamps would be difficult to get back there. There you go, Steve. I hope that helps you. Good luck to you. I hope you're able to get it fixed. Here it is, just 7:30 a.m. still. I don't know what time I started this, but it was quite a while ago. This next one is from Eric, and if I was just pronouncing it totally phonetically, then it would be Cat German, Katgerman, but I doubt that is how you pronounce that. Cat Herman, something like that, perhaps. I'm not sure where he's from, but I suspect he may be overseas. I'm not really sure. Oh yeah, he's in the Netherlands. So I suspected that it was somewhere over in Europe. I wasn't really sure, but he is in the Netherlands. He is a real true fan because he has been in the hospital a number of times. One time donating a kidney, another time with shoulder surgery, and another time with gallbladder surgery. And each time while he's in the hospital, he is streaming my videos. And so I think Melissa has a short video clip to include here. But regardless, I just want to say to you, Eric, thank you so kindly for the kind words, the kind things you said here. And thank you so much for watching my videos, man. I hope your conditions improve, and I hope you just outlive us all. Thanks for watching my videos. My next question is from Maurice Armstrong, and I answered this one via email already, I realize, but I thought I'd just mention it here because people ask questions like this and want to know the answers, and I thought it might help someone else. And that is, what is your opinion on bolt-on necks versus, the regular dovetail type joint or whatever? Which is better, that kind of thing. Well, the truthful answer is, I don't know that it makes me a whole lot of difference. Again, I'm probably walking on both sides of the fence on that. I'd say a well-made instrument with a bolt-on neck is probably very good and probably just fine compared to a dovetail neck. To me, it's more about the quality of construction and the way it's made and the quality of the components and all of that kind of thing. How you attach the neck probably isn't going to affect the instrument all that much, one way or the other, really, as long as it's done well and the angles are bright, and if you keep everything equal except for just the dovetail joint or just the bolt-on neck joint, I seriously doubt anybody in any blind test could tell the difference, on the sound or whatever. That's my answer. I'm going to stick to that. So thank you, Maurice, for watching my videos. Thank you for the question. I hope that helps. The next question is Mahesh Chander, I believe. Mahesh and then Chander. And I'm not sure where he's from. I don't see it in here offhand. But anyway, his question is about using dye and what type of dye am I using when I dye the bridges black and things like that. You can just pretty much answer all the dye questions in one statement. I'm using Fiebing's leather dyes, and they're all the alcohol or aniline type dyes. They're alcohol and water soluble, basically. When I say water soluble, water will mix with them, but it won't hardly remove it off your hands if you get it on your hands. I mean, it will to some degree. You can wash it off with soap and water and get most of it off, but it won't all come off. Alcohol even has some trouble taking it off, but generally the alcohol will do better. That's the only dyes I use, period. I don't use any other colors of any sort that I can think of. I mean, I think occasionally I've touched up a little black mark with a Sharpie or something, but other than that, everything I do is those Fiebing's leather dyes. I have a variety of colors. I have black, I have dark brown, I have light brown, I have red, I have green, and I have yellow. I think I have blue as well, and I think that's it. So there you go. Those are what I use. You got to make sure on those Fiebing's dyes that you're not getting the oil dyes. The oil dyes are totally different. I have no experience with those. I know people use those for saddles and things like that, but I have never used the oil dyes. I only use the alcohol-based dyes, and they're all the Fiebing's brands, and I just typically buy them off of eBay or Amazon or whatever. So Mahesh, thank you for the question. The next question is from Austin Lennon, Austen, and then Lennon is Lennon. His question is about this Fender Stratocaster, and it's a poor picture, but you can possibly see the finish is cracking in here and it's flaking up. It's physically flaking. And he's wanting to know how to get that finish to stick back down. He's asking if he should use acetone and CA glue and things like that. The truth is, again, we're into finishes, and that's the toughest thing. If it were in my shop, I would probably try very sparingly to put a little lacquer thinner on it and try to melt it that way. Lacquer thinner seems to melt almost anything like that and will stick it back down. Acetone may very well be better in some circumstances, but I don't have as good a luck with acetone myself. Now that's what he was suggesting, was trying to use acetone and maybe CA glue, and it may work. You know, I would have probably tried lacquer thinner first, maybe even mix in a little bit of lacquer with it and try sticking it down that way, see what happens. If you need to use the CA glue, I would use it very sparingly. CA glue, boy, it works great, it works wonders, but when it doesn't, it all goes bad really fast and really screws up everything. So I'd be very careful with the CA glue. I seriously do not consider myself to be a finish expert. I am not that guy. I do what I do the best way I do it, and you know, I just do what I do. And sometimes it works out great, other times passable, you know, and that's about the best I can explain to you. So good luck to you on that. I wish I could be more help, but I don't figure I'm the right guy for that question either, to be perfectly honest with you. The next question is from Brian Spinney from Lane, Kansas. And without a doubt, he is asking the most popular question that I get asked all the time. And the question is, what is that thing you stick under the strings to check the height? It's a little wedgy looking thing. Well, that's what it is. It's a taper gauge, and you can see that it goes from nothing almost to 150 thousandths. And that's what it is, and it reads that way on the screen there. Perhaps you can see it. It reads from 10 thousandths there to 150 thousandths down here. The brand is called Insize, Insize. The part number is 4630-1E, and it is sold on eBay. That's where I bought it. I think you can buy it on Amazon too. But they are expensive. These are not cheap. These are a machinist tool. These are a precisionally made tool. They're not, you know, some throw together piece of junk. They really are a high quality instrument. Therefore, they have a high quality price, and they are about $66 presently. They actually have gone up quite a bit. I think since I started recommending them and showing them on videos and things, people bought them, and I think they're buying them out all the time. Anyway, they are expensive. $66 is a lot of money, but on the other hand, I use it constantly. The advantage this thing has over feeler gauges, you know, sure, you could do the exact same thing with a feeler gauge, but a feeler gauge is, you've got to put it in, that one's not it, I got to switch the blades and, you know, maybe make two combinations, try it again, that's not quite it either, try it again, you know, that's not it. This thing here, the advantage is I stick it in and I go, okay, it's 120 thousandths, I'm done. I mean, it's that quick. So that's the advantage of this. There's no trial and error, you stick it in, you know exactly what the height is. So that's what I use. It's expensive, but thank you, Brian, for bringing it up. You know, hopefully people will see this and then they'll know. But I do get that question, I think, more than any question is, what is this gauge? I have a note here from Laurie from Finland, and Laurie asks, could I do, just for fun, a test of how well Canape glue holds wood to wood compared to Titebond? You know, just maybe a homemade strength test. Well, I don't use them in the same applications, so I use them for totally different things. I use the Canape glue to glue plastic to wood, and I use Titebond to glue wood to wood. Now, I do think the Canape glue would glue wood to wood as well, but I have not used it that way. I have only used it to glue plastic to wood. Now, I can tell you for sure the Canape glue does seem to work really well with gluing any kind of plastic to wood. And that's the only way I use it. So I don't see much point in me doing a test on that because to me it's apples and oranges. I don't use them for the same purposes. If I did, then it would make a very valid test. So I appreciate the comment, and I appreciate you noticing that I've got those two different glues, but I seriously only use the Canape glue for gluing plastic to wood, or I have started using it to glue the nut on the end of the fretboard as well. So I use it for those two applications, and that's it. The Tight Bond, I use it for all of the wood-to-wood applications. So Laurie, thank you for watching my videos. And a big shout out from the US to Finland. The next question is from Jim. I don't see a last name. I'm not even quite sure where he's from, but he is a viewer and he has been watching a lot of the videos, and he saw me using a coping saw for doing very delicate inlay work. These are the two coping saws I was using. These, I believe they're referred to in general as jeweler saws. I even think I've heard them referred to as fret saws. But I call them jeweler saws. And this is the one that I like to use the most now. This was the one I had originally. This one is really adjustable, which is kind of nice, but it's kind of a pain too. This one is much simpler and easier to use. The spring tension on this one is just the spring itself. You kind of squeeze it together, put your blade in, and tighten it down on these end things here, and you're ready to go. Now these blades are tiny. See how tiny it is. It's not a whole lot bigger than a hair. These are really small blades. And that is the question, is where do you get the blades for these kinds of saws? And the truth is, I'm not sure I know. Honestly, I bought a whole bunch of these blades years and years ago from a hardware store that was closing out. I just happened to see them and I bought a big bunch of them. I think I have bought some since then, and I believe I got them off eBay, and I just searched for jeweler saw blades. Now they come in all kinds of crazy sizes, like triple aught and double aught and 1, 2, 3, 4 type of thing. I don't even remember all that about it. I just know it's a little bit tricky, and you may just have to do a little bit of buying, trial and error, because honestly, I don't know. If you are real good on this information and you know the specifics on this, put it in the comments and maybe that will help out. So Jim, thank you for the question. The truth is, I just don't know the whole answer to it. Like I said, I bought most of mine so long ago, I don't even remember anything about them. I know that they do sell them, and the sizing on them is a little bit unique, and I think you can get them off eBay. So thanks for watching, Jim. The next email is from my old buddy Bruce Robinson down in Mississippi, near Oxford. I don't know exactly where he's at, I forget now, but he's told me 1,000 times, and my memory is about that big. People often ask, what happened to such and so instrument, and who's, did they like it, etc., and so forth. Well, Bruce is playing his Kentucky mandolin that I made the new top for. There was a video series on that, and Melissa can put the video series on that Kentucky top build on the screen and tell you which number it was. And here's a picture of Bruce, and I'm sure she'll put this on the screen as well. And he's at church playing that Kentucky mandolin, and he's been playing it ever since. He comes down to Mountain View, Arkansas with us when we go down there, and jams with us, and that mandolin sounds really good. I've played it quite a few times, and I'll tell you what, it sounds just fine. I think it turned out great. Just happened to be in the pile is some YouTube stats. We had, at one point, a week or so ago, we had 578,000 views in the last 28 days at the time this was printed. And at that time, we had 10,557,000 minutes of view time just in that 28 days. We had 2,600 plus new subscribers in that 28 days as well. Just thought you might like to know that. Someone, and I don't have a name, asked about mechanical pencils, and they've seen me start using these. I will tell you what I know about them. I like them really well. I was finding myself running to the pencil sharpener just constantly because I like a really fine point when I'm doing so many of these detailed things. These are just, I believe they're Pentel, Pentel, I believe is the name. And this one is a 0.5, and this one is a 0.9, and I believe that's millimeters. So this is a 0.5 millimeter, and this is 0.9 millimeter size lead. Those are the two that I settled on. I saw these recommended on a woodworking channel video. He said, once you get these, you'll never use those wooden pencils again. You know, I kind of have to agree. I really like these. The one thing is that you just got endless lead pretty much. You just keep, you keep pushing and lead just keeps coming, and so if you break it, you just push it and you got it back again. They also have a little built-in eraser, which is nice. They clip on your pocket too, so that's kind of nice. They don't fall out of your pocket when you bend over or whatever, shirt pocket, or I sometimes clip them on my collar or whatever. So I've got them handy a lot of the time when I'm up moving around. To me, it's just saved so many trips to the pencil sharpener. These points also retract, which is kind of cool. So like you push it down, now the point is out, push this clip and the point retracts. And so the point is up inside there now, so it doesn't get broke off. So whenever you clip it on your shirt, the point automatically retracts. So anyway, these are really good pencils. I like them really well. The specific pencils are Graph Gear, GRAPHGEAR 1000. Both of these are Graph Gear 1000 Pentel pencils, and the 0.5 and the 0.9 is what I settled on. I really do like them. I do recommend them. I think I bought these off of Amazon, but it may have been eBay. I can't remember. This next email is more of a confirmation than it is a question or anything. It's from Bill Capell, Capell, and I believe he's in England. He may have said in here, but I kind of think he's overseas. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in England because he said the wax he uses is from England. Over the years, he's taken a little bit of abuse from people for using the old methods. He's using boiled linseed oil for the fretboards, and he's using an actual paste wax for polishing his instruments, and he gets it from England. The paste wax he uses is called Antiquax or Antiquax. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Antiquax. I'm not sure how you would say that. Antiquae, I would think, perhaps. Or maybe it's antique. I don't know. Maybe that's the way they pronounce it. But anyway, he said he's been using that for 40 years. It's more of a confirmation that he agrees that the boiled linseed oil and the paste wax is the way to go. So, Bill, I do appreciate you watching my videos. Thank you very kindly. He included a little picture down here. I don't know if Melissa will be able to get that on the screen for you or not, but it just shows the linseed oil and the paste wax there. Thanks again, Bill. And my last viewer comment, thunderous applause, from Jamie Roberts. Jamie is a pastor at a small church in Turkey Creek, Louisiana. And Jamie goes on to say that the pandemic has been rough down there, that they've lost folks, apparently even in his family, and I'm very sorry to hear that, Jamie. Hope everything's working out for you down there. Hope you're staying safe. But he says, during these tough times, one of the things that I have recommended to my congregation is to keep them upbeat and relaxed is to watch your videos. Well, that's really sweet of you, Jamie. I appreciate that very much. I hope that I don't disappoint too much there if they turn it on. I try to keep it clean, so I don't think you're going to have any problem that way, at least. An idea I would suggest to you is that you create the best of, type video, and then maybe put that for sale on your website. Maybe that could be something we could do down the road, but I'm not sure there is any best of. For that line of thinking, though, there is a couple of videos that stand out. One of them is the Regal Rec series. There were 2 videos in the Regal Rec restoration. That's hard to say really fast. I would recommend that you all watch the Regal Rec series. There's a video 1 and a video 2. I think probably of all the videos I've probably had more cool comments on that one. So I would check that one out for sure. That's going to conclude our shop talk for today. Thank you all so much for watching.